This week on the Rochester Press Box from the Garage Door Restaurant.
I'm Brother Wease, and I'm going to tell you why poker should be in the Olympics.
Hi, I'm John Ditullio. More hypocrisy from the NCAA.
I'm Mike Catalana. I'll tell you who I voted for the Heisman and why.
I'm Bill Pucko. Mark Pryor retired and why we should care. Join us on the Rochester Press Box from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the Garage Door Restaurant this weekend. The Rochester Press Box is brought to you by Salvatore's at the Garage Door on 49 Ridge Road East in Irondequoit. Rochester's choice winner for Best Pizzeria, featuring Wacky Wing Wednesday, John Ditullio Trivia on Thursday, and the Super Slice. It's as big as your head. Games are always on at the Garage Door, home to the Rochester Press Box. Hello everyone and welcome to the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's at the historic Garage Door Restaurant on East Ridge Road. I'm Bill Pucko. Joining me as always, John Ditullio.
Billy.
WHTK. Thank you. Mike Catalana for 13 WHAM News.
Good to be back.
And now you're not the only guy with his own Wikipedia page.
Look at
because
that.
our special guest this week from the Brew, Rochester radio legend, Brother Wease. Thanks for coming on, man.
You're welcome, and I love that intro about the Wikipedia page. I actually, until a week ago, thought everybody had a Wikipedia page.
Well, we
I'm
don't.
sure. I honest to God, it just popped up a few days ago, and the fact that I have a Wikipedia page pissed me off when I found out, because I saw it and it was pretty ugly and untruthful.
Oh. So
So that's what the big joke is about Wikipedia. You know, it's the fountain of disinformation. So don't be looking for a Wikipedia page. No, seriously, because it's funny because I'm affected by that. And now it's interesting for me to know that there's some people that strive to have one. Watch out what you hope for.
mine's
Well,
kind
you're
of boring.
you're not totally out of your element because I remember you used to host a Buffalo Bills show, probably several of them, right?
Well, not only that, I'm going to tell you right now in front of two other guys that I came up there. We started the Bills Brothers.
Yeah, but over 10 years
Yes.
ago.
And I actually argued at one point about how to, it was on another station,
Yep.
and we took it over.
Well, look, let's start with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Doug Marrone made a point after the loss to Tampa Bay of saying rather directly that this team yet hasn't learned how to win, that they follow up difficult losses with very bad performances, and they've done it twice. Is there anything to learning how to win, do you think?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I hate to bring it back to poker, but hey, I know there's a big poker audience out of there. I recently have had I'm what they call running bad in poker. And I was just complaining to my sister, who's rather spiritual in a funny way, about it. And she said that I am not projecting a winning attitude. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
She said that it's what do you call it?
Fulfilling?
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah.
A self-fulfilling prophecy, which is similar to what you're talking about, that they may have in their head. Because for instance, I had a winning hand in a very big game of winning a week ago, and I bet a whole bunch of money. And like a guy called me, and I went, bro, you don't have to call, you don't have to call. And this other guy, who's a local restaurant owner, said, what are you, a gambler or not? You want him to call. I go, no, I don't want him to call. And then another guy called because that guy called, and by the next card, I lost a hand. I knew I was I didn't want anybody to call. There was already, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was telling my sister, and she goes, because you're thinking negatively. And I'm relating this to your Buffalo Bills, because this might be exactly what you sports geniuses are thinking about. And I didn't mean that sarcastically.
No, I think he was right on the money, and I think that does play into players' minds. And I had conversations with Doug Marrone in the preseason where he used some statistical things, but he tried to relay it to, he said, I'm not being totally critical of the previous coaches, but these guys have never learned how to win games, how to do it when it counts the most, and we've seen it happen.
And it starts with a quarterback. If you have a quarterback who knows how to win or has won, then I believe it trickles down to the rest of the team. They don't have a quarterback who's won. They don't have a coach who's won yet at this level, albeit he's won at the collegiate level. But you need a guy, a Manning, a Brady, who knows how to win. The Bills haven't had a winning quarterback who knows how to win. You can go back to Jim Kelly and Doug Flutie, the last two quarterbacks that can honestly say they have a resume of winning.
And I know you don't think this is the guy, right?
No, he's not the guy.
But go back to their worst loss of the year up in Toronto, and that wasn't because of the quarterback.
No,
and those guys let down.
They did. I will give you that. But they followed that up with an awful performance.
Terrible.
And also, as John says, they're all underneath the quarterback, so his vibe could spill on down.
Absolutely.
And he's still the general, so he didn't make the physical mistakes, but he still has to take claim.
He's the Eisenhower. He is the general leading the troops, so to speak, to use a war reference, and that's the guy they got to get in behind. Good luck.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, though. I like that. That's a good way to wrap up that segment. They're banning tailgating at the Super Bowl. We'll kick that around next. We are back. Thanks for joining us on the Rochester Press Box with Salvatore's at the historic Garage Door Restaurant. We want to remind you that the Rochester Lancers game's coming up. They have a road game at Syracuse on Saturday the 21st. They're back home Friday the 27th. They'll host the Pennsylvania Roar at the War Memorial. Tailgating, it's a controversial subject. Should we do it? They banned it from the Super Bowl. Is this the start of a trend, do you think?
From what I understand, I don't know, in past Super Bowls, I know in Indianapolis and I think in Dallas, there at the stadium, I don't think you even get close, right? I don't even think you're allowed to tailgate. I don't know. I think at first I overreacted saying, hey, how can they do this? Then you realize Indianapolis, they didn't do it. They didn't allow tailgating. I guess the NFL and in this case, it would be New Jersey, is just falling in line of what they've done in Dallas and what they've done in Indianapolis.
Well, it comes under the heading of security, but I get the feeling there's more
Security's
to
running
this.
the show.
Total non-story.
It's a non-story.
Super Bowl audiences and crowds are totally different than every other one. The majority of the fans come in on shuttles. They're not standing out there tailgating. This is not a championship game at a home stadium. This is not Orchard Park.
Yep.
Total non-story. Tailgating is not a big thing. Plus, at Super Bowls, people want to be inside the stadium as early as possible, because there's entertainment, there's events going on. Even in this outdoor one where it's going to be freezing, this is one people get in early, security is heavy. I got to say, when I saw it, I was like, I never once thought of all the Super Bowls I've been to about tailgating in the parking lot. It's not a big deal.
But you can't even tailgate even where you park. You may park 8 miles away, and you can't even tailgate there.
Because you're not allowed to walk to the stadium. They're making you take a $51
My freedoms, I
shuttle.
can't even walk to the game. What if I get dropped off? They won't allow me to walk to the game.
The Super Bowl is a different world. It's not like a regular game, and people buy into the whole thing. It costs a fortune. It's not for the regular fans, and nobody is sitting there like Joe Buffalo Bills fan in the parking lot. It's non-story.
Wease, they're infringing on John's freedoms. What do you think?
That's right, buddy.
Well, John does work at a sister station, WHAM, and they're very concerned with freedoms. I'll tell you about a freedom I'm pissed off about. I woke up this morning to do a radio show thinking I was going to help these guys out with a radio show this afternoon. You might notice if you're taking a peek at this, one of us looks like a schmuck. That ain't a bad word. It's me because look at this over here.
Well, it's only because we don't own a Clear Channel sweater vest.
Look, this is a coincidence. This was today's rotation. That's all this is.
But you're a party guy. In terms of tailgating, is it running out of steam?
Well, I mean, Mike had the greatest answer, and so did John. I mean, as a guy, first of all, the Super Bowl, I mean, every word he said was right on. I mean, the guys I know that go to the Super Bowl only go because John Ditullio gave them this card that said man on it once a bunch of years. And they think it's a mandatory play.
It is.
And these guys that I know that go, the ones I know, all happen to have a lot of this.
Yeah.
And they're the last dudes, the ones I particularly know, that are tailgating anyway.
He's 100% right.
They're spending big money the nights before and the nights before. And this one's in These people are all going to be in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And being where this game is a real highline situation. Now, nobody mentioned, weren't there, I might be wrong on one of these, but there were Super Bowls in Detroit and Minnesota, or just one of them?
Well, it's been a couple times in Detroit. I was in Minnesota. The Bills played a Super Bowl.
Well, I doubt there was much tailgating.
No, it was freezing.
Yeah,
It
it
was
is
freezing.
You can tailgate every other week of the season, except for the Super Bowl.
And in
There
the
you go.
last Super Bowl in Dallas, it was 8 degrees and ice storm during that week.
So he said everything perfect. It's a non-story. It is a story for fellas that have radio talk shows because everything is, in sports. And it's a fun thing for the guys that don't go to the Super Bowl to bitch about because they don't realize what Mike said.
Very good. Like it or not, when we return. We are back. This is the Rochester Press Box from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door Restaurant on East Ridge Road. Wacky Wings Wednesday and live music every Friday here at the Garage Door. Like it or not, Wease, football in the snow.
Well, I will answer that question in a second, but I just looked around because I'm a little bit tired today. You guys told me this was going to be on TV. There's two guys with my wife's camera over here. What is that? I never
You haven't
saw
seen these things in action.
This is modern technology is sneaking by.
These cameras are so good, we all look 25.
Yeah.
Well, look, football in the snow, man.
I'm
What do you
sorry.
think?
Sorry to take it off track. Football in the snow. This is my favorite Super Bowl ever, and I'm being 100% legit. For me, John knows me well. I like whatever's different. And man, this is my dream. And you know, me and a cadre of people like me are praying for a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Let me see the Super Bowl, and then John's radio show will blow up about it wasn't a real game.
Yep.
And my team, the one that lost,
Right.
doesn't deserve it. The football in the snow. How many people loved last weekend's football games? There were some phenomenal games.
Like it or not, Michael George Steinbrenner, who didn't make it,
Yeah.
his candidacy for the Hall of Fame.
I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think it would have been great to him to go in with Torrey. George Steinbrenner, warts and all, in total, was very good for the game of baseball. He made it a exciting game, a celebrity game for a while. That's what the New York Yankees were. He also, the Yankees were abysmal when Steinbrenner took them over. CBS had owned them. They were a joke. The stadium was a mess. No one was going to the games. Steinbrenner, for all of his faults, I think in total was great for baseball.
Suspended twice, which I think people have issue with, but you can't put Joe Torre in the Hall of Fame without George Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
It would have been cool, though.
Really, you can't.
And Larry David played him on TV. Little secret
great.
is you on the Seinfeld show.
All right, very good. Like it or not, John Robinson Cano signs that big deal with Seattle.
Kudos to Seattle for finally stepping up and paying a big salary. You got to remember, they let guys like Ken Griffey go. They let guys like Alex Rodriguez go. Let guys like Randy Johnson go. All of a sudden, they ante up millions of dollars for Robinson Cano. And there's some general managers out there who helped create this system that all of a sudden have issue with it. Seattle just signed a TV deal worth $2 billion. I think they can afford Robinson Cano. Dwindling attendance, it was a message to their fan base. We're tired. We're not going to lose anymore. This is what we're going to do. And this is what small markets, a la Buffalo, a la Seattle, have to do. Overpay for Mario Williams, overpay for guys like Robinson Cano. And by the way, nobody complained when the Astros are spending $13 million. That's not bad for the game, but this is.
Yeah. I don't even think in terms of bad for the game. I think it's a dumb signing for Seattle. They can spend their money any way they want.
Killed saying it's bad for the game, it's going to corrupt the system. Really?
You know what's good for? It's good for Robinson Cano, who to me, one, he's getting his money. Two, I don't think he cares one bit about winning. I shouldn't say not one bit. I don't think that's his priority. He got paid. I don't think he's going to mind being out of New York. I don't think he was that kind of guy.
Robinson Cano did what I and about 800 million other people would have done. Take the money.
Yeah.
Take the money and run. I don't know who sang that song, Weezy, but it was a good tune. Steve Miller.
Steve Miller band.
Johnny
Right
Ditullio
under the
kids.
gun.
Take the money and run.
Right, that's
Steve
right.
Miller for 50 points.
All righty. We have some unfinished business when we return. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here from the Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door. This trivia on Thursday starring John Ditullio.
Big time, grade A, top flight, man card sports trivia here. You better bring your A game or you go out of here with your head down.
Every Thursday before the football game. The
You got
unfinished
it.
business, John, start us off.
I'm all about rules and regulations. Without them in this country, we'd have complete chaos. But the NCAA, if you know me, I hate it, I loathe it, I think it's a joke. The NCAA, when it comes to bowl games, I was talking with Wease on his show this past week about it. Each player goes to a bowl game, gets a gift card or gifts anywhere between $450 and $550. Does the word hypocrisy ring a bell when it comes to the NCAA? Aren't they guilty of exactly what they're supposed to be policing? Giving gifts to college athletes. God forbid Terrell Pryor may sell an autograph to get a tattoo, but God forbid he gets a $550 card for going to a bowl game. I hate it. I wish they would do away with it. But then again, this is the NCAA. You're allowed to break rules. You're allowed to get gifts as long as they're from us. Hate it.
When in doubt, just rip the NCAA.
I hate it. It will be liquidated within 5 years, which I'm very, very proud to say.
All righty, Brother Wease, what do you got for us?
Well, I got so many things in my mind. I can go on a political rant. I could talk about the fact that most people that call John Ditullio's show do not understand the talent of Miley Cyrus. And you think I'm kidding you. That guy looked up over there. You know, the normal people, which I make sure I'm not, Miley Cyrus is not talented. Loaded with talent. Right now, my newest thing, Justin Bieber. But I'm going to go past all that because this is a sports show and say that I want the Olympics to have poker. Thank you. I mean, for crying out loud, they have synchronized swimming dancing or something like they used to. They might have got rid of it. They got so many I think dancing was ballroom dancing. Ballroom dancing shows up. I want to see the manliness that is poker at the World Series because it's international. And we already have the World Series. A buddy of mine won a bracelet, Greg Ostrander. But I want to see it in the Olympics because bring that flag home to America.
When are we going to see you in the World Series of Poker?
Be honest with you, I've been invited many times, but I don't have the time. You have to be out there for a few weeks, to be honest with
Maybe
you.
in like 20 years when he retires.
When I retire, I will definitely be there.
Then a few weeks in Vegas might take a toll.
So last week I talked about the Heisman vote, and we signed something with the Heisman Trust to not reveal your pick. But by the time this airs, the announcement will be made and Jameis Winston will win. And I really debated back and forth on who I was going to pick in this. And when it came down to the end, I had to vote for Jameis Winston. He was by far the best player. He had the best season. Am I concerned about things that went off the field? Yes. Is it my vote? Yes. And if I thought in my mind that it was something that was proven or something that was that egregious against another person, then I would not have voted for him. Unlike one voter who decided to put him second because he didn't think the guy warranted by integrity being first. Really? You have enough integrity to finish second but not first? I voted for the guy. I hope he's a good guy. I hope it was some sort of a problem that maybe he was at some fault, but not to the extent some people thought. I put in my vote. I did not enjoy doing the vote this year. I do take it seriously. Jameis Winston is going to win, and I think on the football field he's the most deserving, and that's why he got my vote.
They sometimes ask a lot of us. I mean, between this and the steroids issue and the Baseball Hall of Fame, they require us to process a lot of information.
And there's so much false information out there. And it did get to the point where I thought to myself, what do I really know? Do I like it? No. And then I thought, well, what do I know about many of the other people too? And if I knew something about them, maybe I would feel a little bit differently. I voted for the guy who thought he was the best.
I may actually watch the Heisman Trophy this weekend. I haven't watched it in years and don't really care about it, but I may actually watch this coming Saturday night.
Because of controversy.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we want to hear Jameis Winston talk too.
Yes.
Afterwards.
Well, I just heard him talk last weekend, and he didn't do well. He was all cool. I'm sure one of you guys saw it.
Yeah.
And then a question came up he didn't like, and he turned his back and walked away from the interview. But I just want to make one quick statement because I'm like the anti-sports guy. What I don't get is, I know we're Americans and that's our big deal about integrity and family values and all this stuff, but I don't understand sports, even violent like football, where all of a sudden when one guy appears to be the best at it, we all of a sudden have to worry about what kind of moral values he has.
Well, you make a good point, but in many other awards, that's not a consideration. You vote for the MVP of the NFL, it has nothing to do with integrity.
Go.
But the Heisman Trust was set up that way, and it is part of the award.
That's set up that way.
It's part of the award.
See what I don't know, and I learned right here on this big. That's part of the award.
It is.
Yes.
Integrity is in the first line of the vote.
Has a guy ever won that wasn't that great but was really integral? It's just
O.J. Simpson won a Heisman.
Hey!
I'd like to say goodbye to Mark Pryor. Mark Pryor was a pitcher with the Chicago Cubs, and you might ask, Mark Pryor, hasn't he been out of the game for a number of years? Well, the fact is he last pitched in 2006, and he just decided that this was it. Pryor defined the term phenom. He was drafted second by the Chicago Cubs overall, right behind Joe Mauer, who was taken by the Minnesota Twins. The kid was fabulous. He pitched just 9 minor league games, and the next year, in 2003, the Cubs brought him up and leaned real heavy on him. He went 18-6. He struck out over 10 batters per 9 innings. He got the Cubs a division title, and they pitched all the way to within 1 game of the National League pennant. You might remember that game. Pryor was on the mound pitching into the 8th inning, and that's when Steve Bartman showed up. Bartman, of course, may or may not have interfered with a ball that was hit down the left field line and may or may not have cost the Chicago Cubs that championship. That year, Pryor's last 7 starts consisted, all 7 of them were over 100 pitches. 6 of those 7 starts, he threw over 129 pitches per game. He opened the next 4 seasons on the disabled list, and by 2006 he was out of baseball. So when you start hearing people talk about the good old days and Don Drysdale and Bob Gibson and how they used to be able to pitch all the time, remind them of Mark Pryor. It's a story that's worth remembering because he sort of set the bar for pitch counts these days and the way baseball is played.
Roy Halladay just retired too. That guy, a lot of complete games.
Yeah, but he got more out of it. I mean,
Yeah,
Pryor's
he did.
retired at the age
Yep.
of 31. The Rochester Press Box is recorded every Wednesday afternoon at 12:30 here at the Salvatore's at the Garage Door Restaurant. We invite you to come down and watch the show, say hello, have lunch with us. John, thanks as always.
Billy,
Great job.
good seeing
Mike,
you, buddy.
Thanks.
Brother Wease, it's been a trip. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.